Welcome to Grateful Talks podcast. Today we have a super special guest. This is the lead guitarist for Brown Eyed Women and her band locally Spiral Light. We have Miss Joni Bottari with us. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks, Jay. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. It's a treat to have you here, and I've heard so much about you. I want to thank Matthew Cole was the guy who said your name. And I had to look you up, and then I was like, yeah, we need you on this podcast immediately. So happy that you're here with us. And I think as always, we jump right into it by asking about your story and however young you were when you fell in love with the music and what's brought you to where you are today.
Okay, before I start, I have to tell you all I turned Jay down
She did. She did.
because I'm not really comfortable being in front of a camera giving interviews, and he assured me it was going to be all right.
Nice and easy on this show.
So here we are, out of my comfort zone completely, but
That's great.
that's okay.
It's not an interview, it's a conversation. So we're here to talk.
All right.
Well, yeah, I know it's a loaded question, but I guess what got you into playing guitar, or what got you into Grateful Dead music? Were those sort of a simultaneous journey, or did they come at different times for you?
Um, let's see. Well, thank God for older brothers with great musical taste. I'm the youngest of four,
Cool.
and the brother closest to me in age, Steve, is 7 years older than me. So when he was 15, he bought a Mustang, Fender, and a Univox amp. So let's see, I must have been 9
Oh,
or
wow.
8. And, music was always playing in the house, not through my parents, but through my brothers. And, when I was really young, I remember like the Beatles bringing their singles to show and tell in first grade. And, I'm giving away my age now, but it was the early 60s.
Cool.
And, he started to play in a band, and I thought that was just so cool, and I tagged along with him. And then I got, I think, a Yamaha when I was 9, and he showed me first position chords, and he was basically a rhythm player at the time. And in 1970, he brought home Working Man's Dead and American Beauty, like when they first came out.
Yeah.
So I was 9 at the time.
Oh my
And
God.
I can't remember which album came out first now. Which one came out first?
I should know. Hang on. Now I'm on the spot. I'm not ready for a question like that. I want to say working. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, hang on. I can Google. Let me Google this so then we know the answer. Working Man's Dead. I should really know these dates. Somebody would help us on this. Hang on. That's a 19. It was recorded in February 1970 and released in June. And American Beauty.
Came out in November?
That would have been. Oh, we got the show. We need the album. Hang on. I feel like Jamie on the Joe Rogan show. And that's the 5th. That was November 1970. Correct. All right.
Right. So I'm learning guitar at the same time, and listening to early rock and roll, and everything, the Beatles, the Stones, the band, Dylan, Motown, everything my brother was doing, listening to. And he had brought these albums home, and I just was blown away. And I was just learning guitar, and I remember, like, I was in school. It must have been 4th grade, and sorry about
Oh,
that.
good.
And the funny thing is, I kept calling Uncle John's band Uncle Tom's Cabin. So
As a fourth grader, they're almost the same. It's
I was like, oh no, it's Uncle John's band. Yeah. um, I just couldn't stop listening. You put side A, Ripple on, bam, and I became obsessed. And my brother was not a Deadhead, although he did go to the show where the Allman was it Dwayne Allman played with the Dead, I think at the
Very
Fillmore East,
cool.
and
Yep.
he went to the Manhattan Center. So he did catch shows in '71 and all of that, but he wasn't like me. I was crazed. And
And this is
you know,
only as a 10-year-old at this point.
yes,
Wow.
yes. So and Wake of the Flood. Oh, Skull and Roses came out, and I remember it said "Dead Freaks Unite" in the cover. It was a double album, but I was so young, I didn't know what to do. Do you send a postcard? Do you send a letter? I just didn't, I couldn't compute what to
Yeah,
do.
exactly.
But I just knew that like this was
That's
well,
you.
this was it. That when the live album came out with Bertha and Going Down the Road, and I can't remember everything was on there. I was just totally hooked. So yeah, the first show. So finally, I was still too young, of course, at 11 to go, but in '75, I would always get the New York Times and look at section 2. Back in the day before the internet, they would list all the shows at the Capitol
Oh,
and all the
cool.
shows that were in the area.
Nice.
So this was '75, and I saw Jerry Garcia with Legion of Mary. So I knew I had to go.
Yeah.
So I was 14, and my parents had just split up. My dad moved back to Manhattan. So my mother I have great parents, don't get me wrong, but she's a little preoccupied. So
Of course.
I stole her Vega. Remember, there was a
Yeah,
Vega,
I can't. Who
Chevy
made it?
Vega.
Chevy.
And I drove 40 miles to the Capitol by myself and walked in. And that was the first time I ever saw Jerry.
At
And
14.
It was with her in 1975. So
That's so cool.
I might have swiped a few cars on the way home. I'm not.
Oh my God.
Then what other things that strike that I can remember, because a lot of it, believe me, is a blur. I remember when Mars Hotel came out. I was so excited to go to a record store and get that. And I remember listening to Unbroken Chain, and my window was open. I was probably doing bong hits or something. And I hear a plane, like, because that comes in on Unbroken Chain. And I look out the window and I'm like, where's this plane? And it was like, oh no, it's on the song,
It's just it's some Phil stuff.
But, that was I'll never forget that. So I'm still learning how to play guitar all this time. I was in a band when I was 13 with three of my friends. Two are in the music business now, have very successful careers. The Conti brothers, Steve Conti and John Conti, who play with a lot of people.
Cool.
But we were playing like Chuck Berry and the Stones and the Beatles, for like our friends' bar mitzvahs and like 8th grade school dance. And I was using my brother's Gibson ES335 and Fender Twin with JBLs. And
wow.
It was like a really big guitar for like a young girl,
Yeah, no, that's got to look kind of proportionally. I mean,
Yeah,
on Chuck Berry,
right.
he's 6 foot something. So,
Right. And our bass player was like, 12. He's great, by the way, John. And he had like a big harmony bass. And so that was my first band project.
Very cool.
Then the Dead were on hiatus in '75, pretty much, except for a couple shows. So they came back to the East Coast on the comeback tour. And that was my first show, was the Beacon in '76. And it was like the toughest ticket in the world because it was a lottery. Whoa. And it was all for the fan club. So there were no scalpers, no tickets to be had anywhere. And went with a friend of mine, and he couldn't get in and I couldn't get a ticket anywhere. So I said, last resort, I got to try the ticket taker. So I pulled out a $10 bill and I'm like, please, God, please, I got to get in. Gave it to the guy. I walked into the Beacon, and that was the first Dead show, and it was
$10 bribe
in '76. And I was like, holy shit, I'm in.
Wow.
I got in. It was
Oh
a
my
tough.
god. What in your mind was it just like this is last resort? I got to try something.
No one had tickets because they weren't selling any. They just gave it to the fan club.
Exactly.
For that and the Capitol Theater and the Tower were all lottery shows.
Okay.
So, because when I was so young, I couldn't figure out how to do that. I wasn't in the Dead Freaks Club.
Oh my
And,
god.
that was the beginning of my long journey following the Grateful Dead around.
So
you know,
you were on the bus.
on the bus, 76, 77 was a great year. 78, 79, I finally got to see my first West Coast show, which was totally different vibe. It was like way more relaxed. It was
I've heard that from
Oakland in August, the first Lost Sailor, the first Althea. Um, and I remember like just feeling like the California vibe was like really relaxed.
Was it just in the crowd, or did it seem to affect the way that the boys played their stuff?
I was I don't know. I can't remember. I just remember feeling like everyone was like, instead of pushing and pushing up front, people were more like dancing in the hallways and dancing in the back, and it was just like way more laid back.
Okay.
And went to a lot of shows. I'm not going to give you a number because I don't know it because I didn't save any stubs, but I know it was a lot.
It's almost more spiritual that way, just to know
Yeah,
that you have that many under your belt, but not know that.
I envy the people that save their stubs. I wish that I thought, then to save them.
Yeah.
Because
who would have known, though? I mean.
Yeah. Right. The 80s are a bit of a blur.
Yeah.
One of the better shows I saw, probably one of my favorites was New Year's Eve '79.
Very cool.
Which was amazing. There's a story behind that.
If you want to share, please, I'm all ears.
I accidentally got dosed with 25 hits of acid.
Oh my.
So it was a pure accident, and I was like, hang on tight. And I'll never forget it when John Cipollina came out and did Stella Blue and Not Fade Away. I was totally melting into the floor, and it's ingrained in my memory forever. I don't remember what I ate last week, but I will never forget that night.
Wow. As I would imagine you wouldn't be able to. Holy
no.
shit. I don't think I have a response for that other than holy shit.
Yeah, well, it was a holy shit 2 weeks to come down. But it's just what can you say? I mean, it's people don't get it that aren't deadheads, what this all means to us, how much it's a part of our life. Like my friends who aren't deadheads are like, you're in that cult. That's all you guys talk about. All you talk about are dates and tapes. And, I've never seen anything like it, and it's like, yeah, it's, unless you're in it, you don't really understand it. What was so special to me about Jerry was, because now I'd rather talk about someone else than me, with that, not only the music and the songs and the lyrics, but he was so vulnerable. And, most rock bands are so polished and they're so perfect. And, Jerry, was so, you saw that he had struggles. You saw that he was going through tough times, and he still played every show. And And some shows were by far better than others. I
Yeah.
read a comment the other day that every show was great. Every show was not great, but there were great moments in every show.
Yes.
And I connected with Jerry because he was just like, I mean, how could you not love Jerry? Not like, I don't love everyone in the
Everybody's
band.
great for sure, but
Everybody's great, but he was in the spotlight. He was lead guitar player. He was the leader of the band. But, he wasn't afraid to be real.
yes.
And to go for it. I mean, what other band could make so many mistakes
Just
night
thinking
after
about
night, and still you go back and you want to do it
you
again?
want to listen to those mistakes. I know that hearing Jerry miss lyrics is like one of my favorite moments of listening back to old shows.
And Bobby too.
And but yeah, but all any of them. But
Well, like, I can't think of any other rock and roll band that made more mistakes than the Dead, and we all loved it and went back for more. And the reason, part of the charm and the love of that is that he went for it. He played without a net. So he went into uncharted waters in front of 40,000 people saying, you know what? I'm going for it because I'm not going to play the lick I know that I played last night that I know I could play well.
Yep.
I'm going to just try something completely different. And if I fall on my face, I fall on my face.
Hey,
but,
what are you going to do?
but then he would hit those notes that were like, what?
And they hit you in your soul.
Where did that run come from? Like, what was that?
Yep.
And I just don't know anybody else who did that and who was just, so beloved for being so vulnerable and so real.
Yep. That's a beautiful way to put it. Wow.
And I think that's why everyone, connected so deeply. I mean, at least for me, why I connected so deeply with him, for not having to be perfect and it be okay because you're going for something.
Yeah.
Instead of rehearsing something and doing it exactly this way,
Wow.
I'm guilty of sometimes resorting to the licks that I know I can do instead of venturing out because I see a camera and I get nervous and I'm like, okay, I'm going to try something and I'm going to fuck this up.
Can't go into that territory. Better stick to what my hand knows. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But, I sometimes, so like to go for it, so special. And, there were a lot of sad moments when I saw Jerry just so high that it made me sad. And I thought, well, this is the end. And, I could relate to that because I'm in recovery. And, when you're an addict, it's a very tough battle. So I could also relate to Jerry on that level. But I've been in recovery and, there is hope, if anyone out there is having a problem, there's a 12-step program that, works miracles. It saved my life. I wished, I don't know if it's okay to say, but I wish Jerry had found it, because I could relate to the demons that he had, and the stage fright I could relate to. If I backtrack a little bit, I played in a band in Manhattan on the Lower East Side. It was an all-girl, female, original punk rock band. Now,
why am I not surprised in the slightest, Joni?
Well, I wasn't a punk rocker. I mean, like I always got, oh, you look like Joan Jett, but it wasn't like I tried. I'm like, no, I'm a deadhead. But
that's not me.
I like Joan Jett, but it's not my, that's not my thing. Yeah. But I like Joan Jett a lot. But she's a trailblazer, and we need more women trailblazers. But so I answered an ad in the Village Voice because there was no internet in 1983. Auditioned. It was good tunes. The Bangles, the Go-Go's, I think, had just come out. Okay. So we were playing in New York. And you didn't get paid at CBGB's. The thing about CBGB's was you didn't have to pay ASCAP or BMI because he only allowed original music.
Yeah.
There were no royalty fees to pay to anybody. So
Yeah.
you had to be an original band to play there.
Yep.
So we were original band, and I started to get stage fright to the point where it paralyzed me.
Wow.
And I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried to have a drink to take the edge off, or Valium or something, and
Yeah.
didn't work. So the band disbanded, and I didn't play in public for 20 years.
Wow.
Because I was too scared.
Holy moly.
I couldn't overcome it. So I played for my dog, and I kept playing. And then I moved down to Florida, started seeing some local bands, got to know some people, started to jam a little. I just wanted to jam. I definitely did not want to be in a band at all or perform. That was not on my radar. And about 8 years ago, I got into a band with some friends, with a little help from my friends. And they had a guy on standby for our first show in case I bailed, because I was a nervous wreck the whole entire week.
You let them know? You said, hey, put somebody on stage?
No, I found out later they had a guy on standby because I was a total wreck.
Oh my gosh.
So I got through it, and had a couple of bands along the way.
Yeah.
And fast forward to last year, or a year and a half ago, people would call into Sirius XM and ask, where are the female musicians? Yeah. And I had played a house party with David in Florida.
David Gans?
Yeah, like maybe, I don't know, a long time ago, maybe, I can't remember, maybe 8 years ago. Okay. And so we knew each other. We met briefly, played a couple songs, and he would mention my name. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And the last time someone called in, he mentioned another woman's name. So I go home on Facebook. I'm like, oh, who's this other woman? And it was a girl named Denise, and Denise's parent. And I look her up, and she's a drummer in a dead band in Woodstock. And I'm like, wow, she's solid as fuck on drums, and she could sing. Yeah. So I reached out to her, and we started talking. And, she was like, wouldn't it be great to have an all-girl female Grateful Dead band? I said, yeah, but I really don't see that happening because, that's a tough one. I have a hard time finding a keyboard player backup for my local band. So how are we going to find 6 girls? Yep. So I had chatted, with the online forums. I introduced myself to a female bass player, Dana, in New Jersey, cool, in Love Light, and Jill, who's a fantastic singer in The Cause in Pittsburgh.
You sourced them from everywhere.
Caroline from Boston, who plays in a lot of bands I played with once before. And I played with Jill once before. She plays keyboards. Cool. And then someone suggested Kate from Atlanta. So I gave all these names to Denise, and I said, good luck. I never thought I'd hear from her again. Yeah. And about a month later, she called me back. She goes, I got in touch with everyone. Everyone's interested. I'm like,
awesome.
I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. We live in 6 different states from Massachusetts to Florida. We don't know each other. We have no video. How do you propose we move forward? Yep. Right?
Pretty impossible task.
So we had conference calls every week. And I reached out to my friend and down here in Florida, Al, and through his connections and some of his reputation and mine, we got 5 venues to agree to book us. And that was our debut tour in June of 2019.
Oh my God.
All the girls flew in. We had still never met. I met Jill. I knew Jill and Caroline a little bit.
One in-person interaction, or never met in person at all?
I never met Dana. I never met Denise. I never met Kate. The girls all flew in from the Northeast, I believe, Monday night. And we all met at the rehearsal studio the day before our first gig at like noon and had a marathon 11-hour rehearsal
No way.
way.
That's
And
awesome, though.
when we got there, the camera crew for the Music Plays the Band, the documentary that Andy Logan's working on,
Can't wait
which
for
is
that.
great. I can't wait to see it.
It's gonna be awesome.
We're already there to document us meeting for the first time.
Did they hang the whole 11 hours with you guys, or was it just snippets?
Mostly, yeah. Jake, who's great from Mansfield Media,
Yeah.
I'm saying it right, and his son were just wonderful to work with, very easy. And they stayed for a lot of the rehearsal. We took a pizza break for dinner. And, you know, we worked some things out. We had conference calls for like 6 months. Like, okay, do you want to do the 89 version of Let It Grow? 78 version? Do you want to do, you know, this tempo of Eyes, or do you want to do the slow version of this and that? So we
So planning out the set virtually then.
did our best on phone calls to discuss like which versions of which year,
Okay.
because you know there's so many different ways. So
Yep.
we worked all that out, and we just started playing, and you know that's it. We had one rehearsal, and it was magic. I mean, these women, I'm so honored to be a part of this band. I can't tell you. Everyone is in a local band in their own town and have been playing this music. It's in their DNA. It's very hard to play Grateful Dead with people that are not Deadheads.
Yeah.
I've tried it and it doesn't really work as well. All these women play in bands. And have been for a long time playing Dead music. So, you know, we were able to slide right in. And, you know, the next night we did our first show and the chemistry was just there. It was almost like we had been playing forever.
So
And,
cool.
You know, it really came out of nowhere. I never expected this to happen at this point in my life.
Yeah.
To go on the road and you know, play shows.
Well, it's insane to go from having a paralyzing amount of stage fright to the point where you can't perform to flying in to a gig that you've been meeting. How many people are there? 5? You said there's 5 other women. You 6?
Yeah.
Okay. Then 5 other people, musicians you've never met before, playing with them, having a monster marathon rehearsal session, and then just jumping on stage. That's
with the camera.
yeah, with the camera crew at a pretty big pretty big show. How in the world did you get from point A to point B? I would
Like, when? Well, I'll tell you, a part of what made me feel comfortable was everybody knew the music.
Cool.
You know, so I didn't. Sometimes when you're playing with somebody who's not familiar with it, you have to kind of turn around and say, you know, the change is here, or it's in state here, and you know. But I had nothing to worry about but playing.
That's
because
awesome.
you know, everybody knew.
It's on.
You know,
It's locked down.
and everything.
That's incredible, though. It's
No,
good.
that took a load off me, having to just, you know, worry about, you know, playing and getting in the zone.
Yep.
So, you know, when you play with really good players, you know, you play better and you feel more confident. So
You don't have that nervousness of like worrying about what they're gonna do,
Right.
in addition to you. Yeah.
right. And it was a hometown gig for me. So,
Cool.
which was
Oh,
good and
Boca
bad.
Raton, Florida.
I had a lot of friends that I was a little extra nervous, but it was also like, okay, I know this stage. I've played here
true.
before.
Okay.
So
they flew in to meet you. I forgot that you didn't have to go very far, did you?
Florida.
Wow.
Right.
So then what did the next gigs look like? Was that something that you do a tour and a leg of a tour and you say, we got to do more of this? Obviously, you're living 6 different lives across the country, so.
right. And we're not in our 20s and going to live in a van down by the river and just go on.
Yeah.
We're in our 50s and have jobs and whatever. So we had to figure it out. And the next gig was, I think, Miami, Stewart, Jacksonville,
Cool.
and Orlando.
Oh my gosh.
5 nights in a row.
You covered the entire state in a week.
Right.
So then where'd you go from there? Was it 5 nights and
Five
okay,
nights. Everyone went home. And
that's it.
and then we regrouped and we played Nashville and Atlanta and maybe somewhere else.
A couple places. Are these Nashville and Atlanta was the same leg you flew in and played
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it was.
So how many times have you met up together?
I think we've done 13 shows so far.
Cool. In how many different legs?
I believe 3. We also did a festival in St. Pete with David Gans was there.
Awesome.
A Florida festival. And then we had everything booked for this year. We were supposed to start at the Brooklyn Bowl in New York.
Jeez.
On April 1st and go to Saratoga, Boston, and I think New Hampshire. And that's when...
Yeah, April 1st, pretty good time for a summer tour to be scheduled.
Except, that's when COVID hit and it got canceled. We were supposed to play a lot. We had a tour in Jersey and in June with Washington and Connecticut. We were booked.
Going all over.
Colorado in August. I mean, everyth's canceled the whole year.
Yeah.
So... huge bummer.
It is. It's the kind of thing that, especially as we thought it might be hey, we'll have to postpone things a month, and now
that's exactly what happened. I was like, well, I don't think April's happening. I'll see you girls in June,
May or June, whatever. Yeah. Then it started looking like, oh, maybe like July, August. Now we're like, okay, so now everything's a year out now.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be laughing, but I think that's my way of kind of dealing with the disappointment.
I hear you. Me too. I mean, not only us, but everybody.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're hurting for the whole community at large.
Yeah. So.
So what does that look like now? I mean, obviously, maybe not confirmed scheduled dates, but what's the plans look like that everybody's thinking? You guys want to continue to do this, I would imagine.
Oh yeah. 2021.
Cool. That's the year.
That's what we're looking to.
Cool. And in the meantime, staying active with consistent local shows when you can. You said you're playing the Tiki Bar, is it?
We play a place that's sort of like a tiki bar restaurant that's outside. That's cool. There's plenty of space to socially distance, and they set it up with like all grassy area. So, which is cool. Now I can go, and if I want to go see a band, now I can go sit alone and not be bothered, which is not
to be in the crowd.
Like, I'm listening. More Fred's on now. Don't talk.
There's some of these trends that I'm kind of like, oh, I wouldn't mind if this continues. Like, I can go out to places and not have to interact closely with people. That sounds nice. But you have all this stuff in the works. It gets put on hold. Obviously, you seem like you have a great spirit on your shoulders and seem to find a lot of positivity in things. And I kind of think I do the same. So, what have you been doing in the meantime? Like, where's your head at? Is it? I know that at least for me, I have felt less motivated to practice at times, but there's other sources of inspiration occasionally. Have you found yourself working on anything whether musically or in redesigning your rig, even like what has quarantine looked like for you?
Definitely. Well, I haven't been playing too much. I'm having a hard time getting motivated. I love I do play a couple of gigs a month, but I've been slacking a little bit lately. Uh, um,
As it can happen.
yeah, and then I pull myself. It's like a roller coaster. It's like
Yeah.
one day, like, oh, this is cool. I'm gonna do this, and then the next day I'm like, I can't believe this is what's going on. It's very much a roller coaster.
Yes.
Um, so my rig, um, I I have an old Fender concert amp with 410s in it, 1962,
Oh my
and it's heavy.
yeah.
So I got the Quilter, which that's part of the micro amp, and they make a kit. So I bought the kit so you could remove the head.
Oh, so you had the combo originally and then took the
Yeah,
head out?
yeah.
Very
The
cool.
cool thing about Quilter is all their parts are interchangeable.
So nice.
So I bought the kit and took the head off,
Hmm.
and then when I was doing gigs with Brown Eyed Women, there was like either a Fender Twin or an extra cab that I would plug into
Cool.
because just the 8-inch with the micro amp is not enough. So,
Yeah.
but the gigs I'm doing locally are small enough, and I mic it, and it's kind of enough.
Yeah.
My band is a 4-piece. We have keys, guitar, bass, and drums. My local band.
So you just kind of have to be as loud as the drums, but
Yeah,
not have
but
to match anything.
last week a guitar player filled in for my keyboard player, and he was playing out of a 12-inch speaker, and I was playing out of my 8, and the difference was night and day. So, like, I was happy until last week, and
Gotta hate those shows where you're like, everything's wrong now.
now after hearing the difference, because I've been playing with the keyboard player of the 8-inch to a 12-inch, I'm not happy at all. So I found a K120 on Reverb a few months ago.
Awesome.
It's part of the professional series, and I had asked Jason about this. I'm like, because it says it's the same as a K20.
Is it like a 2203 or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And it looks in great shape. So I bought it, and it's
Cool.
been in a box ever since in my kitchen.
Gotta wait for that cab.
I need a cab desperately
Cool.
because someone had asked a question on the musician forum: is the micro quilter with an 8-inch loud enough for on stage? And
Yeah.
my answer 2 weeks ago would have been, yeah, it's fine. My answer now is no. It's
Yeah.
you need a 12-inch speaker.
That's fair.
So this I just happened to buy in a studio that the concert like in 1985 for like
Original speakers in that?
original speakers, original wiring. The tubes have been changed, and it's just what I have. So and it sounds great. It's just big and heavy, and
Exactly.
and
Something you want to fly with.
so I need to get a cab, and then I'll use the Quilter with a 12-inch cab. But the Quilter, the head is cool because if I want to fly, I could fly with it on the plane, and wherever I get to, hopefully there's some kind of fender there or something, and I could, plug into the, speakers there.
Exactly. Yeah, and you have 200 watts, or if you don't have any cab, you can go into the PA if you really need to, which, it's not amazing, but it'll do in a pinch.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if that would work for you. You have a facial expression right now, like no, not really.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
I've found that experience. I played through a Blues Junior the other day just because it was a gig on COVID gigs are weird. You're playing in places that you haven't had to play before. So we were on a hill, and if you had asked me, like 2 years ago or a year ago, if 15 watts was plenty, yeah, it was plenty a year ago. And then I was just I was maxed out. I had my guitar on 5 and it was the same volume as when it was on 10. And something like a quilter that has so much headroom, that's always nice to bring along, especially when it weighs practically nothing.
Yeah, I
Sweet.
never thought I would play through a solid state like ever.
Really?
Yeah, it just sounds great. And also, the second channel is great for acoustic guitar.
So this is unique because you're playing through obviously like a vintage Fender amp. That's amazing, and a quilter, which is commonly used in this community to do the jerry tone stuff. But and you have the Wolf, but you seem to be like this looks like a very much a tone is in the fingers kind of situation because I don't know how obsessive you've been about the nitty gritty trying to get every detail. What does that look like for you in your search?
Uh, I am not as deep as some of the threads on the forum. I mean, it's like, I
Yeah.
mean, it's great that people are into it like that, but
Yeah.
you know, I'm not playing Madison Square Garden. I don't need a Macintosh and a million speakers, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Well, I don't either, but that doesn't stop me.
and I would love to try one day. I've never played through one.
Oh,
I, you know, I I did change. I did just start using the Adamas pick, the graphite pick,
cool.
the 2 millimeter. And at first, it was like, wow, there's no give in this pick at all. I can't
Nope.
use it.
It's like a stone.
I got used to it, and I found that I had a lot more control with the Adamas.
Yeah. There's less effort to make the same amount of kind of pop or oomph in
Right.
your strings.
And now I love it. But at first, I was like, no way. Like, how the hell did he use this?
I
And
had the same thoughts, and then all of a sudden I can't go back. Now it's like the only
yeah,
pick.
yeah, now it's the pick. Yeah. Um, as far as pedalboard, I have, like, you know, the the necessities. Like I have the Mutron.
Yep.
I did have it calibrated right
Oh,
by, I
cool.
think it's Lingenberg.
Yep. Yep. That's the name.
So I had that. Oh my God, I sent it to him, and he sent it back to me, and I got an email. Your package has been delivered. And I go outside, and it's not delivered. So I'm freaking out. And for like 2 days, I'm like, where is it? And they delivered it to the wrong house.
Jeez, that's
On
an
2 streets
expensive
over.
package to
So this
deliver.
woman called me, and she called the gate, and she's like, I have a package for Joni Bottari. And I'm like, thank God.
Oh my goodness.
That was scary.
Oh, not an item you can really replace that easily if it gets
No.
lost in the mail.
I recently switched from the OC3 Boss octave divider to the OC2.
Cool.
I
Thoughts on that?
What?
Thoughts on that? Sorry.
The OC2 I like much better. I'm pretty sure it's analog versus digital. I know I was never really thrilled. I could never really get like the octaves on the high strings. Like no matter how I set it, it just wasn't cutting through. And
Yeah.
so I went on Reverb, and everyone said, buy a Japanese one instead of
Yeah.
Taiwan. And, I found one for a good price. I picked that up. So I'm much happier with that pedal than the OC3. I know there's like one knob on the OC3, you get like intense distortion. I don't know if it's
The
poly.
drive. It's a drive knob or something. I remember
Yeah,
that.
it's too sensitive. Just like the OCD Overdrive, like I have it and I like it, but
Yeah.
like move it like a hair,
Yeah.
and it's like wow, it's like really dirty. It's like so sensitive.
Yeah.
So,
You almost have to lock down the knobs somehow if you're gonna take them out.
yeah, it's great. It's just like very sensitive. So for Overdrive, I use the Brad Sarno's Earth Drive.
Yeah. I haven't gotten to try that myself. I've heard so many good things about it.
Flare I got for when you want to get like really nasty, like I don't know, West LA, or put on a little phase and put on that and just get
If you're trying
dirt.
to do a Watchtower shreddage from mid '80s.
Um, and what else? I've got the phase chorus.
Cool.
You need that for Blow Away, Candyman, a bunch of others.
Oh,
Uh, I always use 2 delays. I always use one on a little bit, just a hair, and
Cool.
then one for more repeats when you want to get into
spacey.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't know what else. I change it up. Sometimes I'll throw a tremolo on with a rotary, just for the hell of it if I'm doing something else.
Why not? That's cool. So are you playing pretty much exclusively Grateful Dead setups for the most part, or do you ever participate in just a random kind of get together jam, whether it's a small show or party, or how does that work?
No.
All Grateful Dead.
Well, we have a couple of songs that we play sometimes that are non-dead to break it up. Like when we do Shakedown, we throw Brick in the Wall in the middle, which was an idea I had.
That's awesome. That's a really good pairing.
Verse of Brick in the Wall in the middle of Shakedown, then go back to Shakedown. I thought of that a long time ago, and it just works great.
That's awesome. The same tempo, basically, too.
Same beat, and it flows right back. Once in a while we'll do a couple of Pink Floyd songs.
Awesome.
The band,
Yeah.
JGB.
I only listen to 2 types of music: Grateful Dead and Jerry Garcia band.
Right.
We need to get past all of this COVID stuff so we can actually get on the road and see each other. I'd love to see you guys come up to Boston sometime. That would be just incredible.
Is that where you are?
I'm right outside of Boston, so Massachusetts area. Yeah.
Our keyboard player lives in Boston.
I want to talk to Caroline. Yeah, that's Caroline, right?
Caroline's great.
Yeah, I have yet to. I've interacted some with some of the musicians up here, but only on just like a saying hi kind of. I'm just now getting to a point where I'm like actually traveling to see folks play when I see the gigs happen. So it's slowly, one step at a time, getting incorporated.
Yeah, it's and the more women, the better. I see more.
Seriously, get them out there.
Yeah.
So you are one of the very few women out there that is playing this music, and if we're looking at music industry as a whole, I think it's safe to say that it would be awesome to have more women and more of your viewpoints of the world and perspectives, and we don't get a lot of that. What has your experience in the scene been? I imagine you're mostly playing with guys throughout your career, or how did you ever think about that? What did that look like as you started, and now where we are now in 2020? How it feels to be playing in an all-female tribute band?
Yeah. It was typically me and the guys, and that's what's so special about Brown Eyed Women, is to play with women, to play this music is like. Really is a dream come true. There aren't a lot of us out there playing it. I'd like to see more.
For sure.
I've gotten a few comments after a show. Some drunk guy. Oh, I was coming to see a bunch of girls. And I figured, well, they're just a bunch of girls, and he'd leave and you go, you girls are really good.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I get a few drunk guys at the end of the night that'll say,
Is that a backhanded compliment? I don't know how. That's a good thing at the end of the day, right?
yeah,
Offensive though, a little bit.
there is some, thought to, I don't know if you call it what you call it, if it's sexism or not. I hate labels. I don't want to label anything,
Yeah.
but the thing of it is there aren't a lot of women in rock and roll that play lead guitar.
Yeah.
I can't think of a lot. I mean, so they don't expect the girls to be able to really
Yes.
be good because, I mean, there's some great female artists out there. There's great singers, great guitar players.
Seriously.
They're just, for whatever reason, there aren't a lot of lead guitar players. I mean, there could be in jazz that I don't know about.
Yeah.
I've seen some young girls that really shred on
Oh
YouTube.
my God.
I'm
I've seen
like,
on YouTube and Instagram, there's a few of them that are just absolutely crushing
yeah,
it.
yeah, and that's great. I want to throw my guitar out the window when I see my girl's 15 and she's like killing it.
Oh,
You know?
it's yeah, I've seen them. It's insane.
But in the dead tribute world, not so many.
Yeah.
So it's kind of special to be doing this.
It's incredible. I'm so fascinated by the fact that, like throughout our conversation, this is just unquestionably, this has been your life's passion in the same way that almost everybody else that I've talked to, it's been their kind of life's passion. But you do have that unique perspective of being a woman playing Grateful Dead music, and really not just a woman playing Grateful Dead music, but a woman just crushing it. And your bands are amazing, and your sound is awesome. And I don't know, what do you think is a way that we can break down some of those doors and create paths of with less resistant factors for younger girls to come into this music? And I know it's like guitar sales right now are soaring for young women. I think that's a huge demographic right now. I don't know. What do you feel like? That's kind of a loaded question, but do you feel like there's any answers for that? Things that we can do as a community?
I don't know.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah. I don't know.
Just keep on rocking and rolling if you play out there.
Yeah, the crazy thing is, you have fans out there that are 21 and they weren't even alive when Jerry was, alive.
Yeah.
And words to every song. So it kind of blows my mind, when I see like people like in their 20s and, even 30s, who are playing this music and they never saw it, the Grateful Dead. And it's a phenomenon like the world has never seen.
Truly.
Nothing I can compare it to. So I think we'll see more of it. I don't think it will ever end. I think 100 years from now, this music will be alive and well, carrying on by the next generation and the next generation. It's unreal. Like I said, you can't compare it to anything.
Yeah. Who knows what it's going to look like by then too?
We're all so obsessed. My brother tells me all the time, "You're so obsessed. You don't listen to anything else." I get into the car and it's on channel 23 on Sirius. Try dating someone that's not into the Dead. That's like, I had my ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
She'd say like, "Okay, so where are we going Saturday night? Like date night or something?" And the stream was like all weekend. It was like, I don't know, wherever they were playing in Colorado. So I, get nugs and I'm watching the stream on Friday. And she's like, "Where do you want to do tomorrow night?" I'm like, "What do you mean?"
We're doing the second show.
Second show's tomorrow night. She's like, "You just watched that band last night. You're going to watch the same band again tonight?"
Yeah, it's going to be different.
And I'm like, "Yeah, and next weekend." So
We're doing the same thing.
That's a whole other problem.
One step at a time, we'll introduce the non-deadheads to our wonderful world of insanity.
Yeah, it's yeah, that's a challenge.
That's too funny. I'm laughing because my own girlfriend, she certainly knows the struggle of me constantly talking about this stuff.
Struggle is real.
It really is, but she's a great sport about it. So shout out Kylie.
Well, you're a lucky man.
Oh my gosh, I sure feel like it. Oh, well, Joni, this has been just an absolute privilege to talk to you and hear your perspective. And I is there anything to plug? I know it's kind of tough to plug stuff right now because there's not a ton of shows. But where can people go to hear your music? What are you doing that people can go kind of see and look at, whether it's digitally or in person, wherever that might be?
We have our Brown Eyed Women. I'm wearing our shirt. Facebook page, website. We have our shirts for sale there in case anyone wanted them, which I'm really proud of.
They're gorgeous. I love the logo.
Yeah, this is a second edition print with the brown eye. The first one was just a blue one, and I really wanted it to be a thin, soft shirt. I don't like those beefy tees.
I know, yeah.
They're just too thick, you know?
They don't feel like they've been worn in, I guess, but a
Yeah.
thin one has that.
Yeah, so we said let's do this right and buy nice shirts. So the artist is oh man, I'm forgetting his name. Mike from Atlanta did this artwork, and
Awesome.
he did an amazing job. So we have shirts on our Facebook. Gosh, I feel funny plugging this.
No, I like that there's a plug to do because I don't really get to ask people that that often. But if you have merch, you should be plugging it.
Yeah, well, yeah, we have tees and tanks and V-necks, and you know we just we have a YouTube channel, and
Cool.
we just can't wait to hit the road. And
It's gonna be awesome.
2021, and
And you can. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
hopefully this thing is over soon.
Yeah.
For
That's all,
everybody.
that's all we can do is sit here and hope and do what we can to stay safe and play the shows that we can in the meantime. And I think that's what's keeping the spirit alive as we have. It's going to be a renaissance, is all I'm saying. We can't help but have a renaissance of creativity happen when this is all said and done, which hopefully is soon.
The comeback's going to be huge.
It's gonna be awesome. I just got goosebumps thinking about how cool that's gonna be, and I will be seeing you all in Boston when that happens.
For sure.
Man, well, such a fun talk, Joni. Thank you for being here with me. If you ever want to come back on, more than welcome to, and get your bandmates on here. We need to hear more voices.
I absolutely will.
That would be awesome. Well, thank you so much, and until next time.
Thanks, Jay. Peace
Thanks,
out.
Joni. Bye bye.
Bye.